this crazy idea. I thought, I'm gonna just...
Starte den Tag mit deinem persönlichen Assistenten und streame Musik.
Well, this is... I just check my voice first, and we'll start very soon.
Starte den Tag mit deinem persönlichen Assistenten und streame Musik.
Oh, seems alright. Okay, we can start. Hi everyone, welcome to Insights with Lily Zhang. Today is September 11th and Friday. This is my English live stream. I've already done one in Chinese. Today I'm going to talk about Neurolink, and of course one of my favorite topic is philosophy, but today I'm going to talk about philosophy is dead, like Stephen Hawking said. But what I'm really going to talk about is the modern days. Are we losing our ability to think independently? Actually, I think that could be our 21st century, the biggest crisis. Maybe it's not the pandemic, not economic crisis. That could be something in our brain. That could be something, the ability we are losing is to think independently. I'm going to start with Neurolink. Yeah, you've probably heard of that. That's Elon Musk's company. Actually, I quite like Elon Musk. I think he's great. He can achieve so much. He's probably the smartest people in our generation, and he can achieve so much. Tesla, SpaceX, and I quite like his Mars project. And he's such a great guy. He can almost achieve everything. And of course, last week they launched a new, I call that a milestone, but actually Elon Musk called that their recruiting program. That's they've done a presentation. You might have seen that. Sorry, I have to drink some water because I talk too much. So that's last week's presentation. They've done, because the whole idea of Elon Musk's Neurolink, that's his company's name, is doing I'm talking about human brain and machine interface, BMI. Do you understand that? That means a machine is not any normal machine. Machine means we call that AI, that's a computer. And brain and machine interface, that means from last week's presentation, they just implant a computer chip into a pig's brain, and they can analyze the interface between the pig's brain and the computer. So this is a big milestone for Neurolink, but this technology is not brand new. Oh, my voice. This technology is not brand new, and in 2006, I think this technology basically is quite a lot about neurotechnology. It's about brain surgeon and surgeries. Quite a lot of people, if they had strokes or they have brain damage, so I think scientists or neuroscientists already started like I said, 2006. There's a guy, actually his name called Nigel. He's already started. He already had some chip implant into his brain, so scientists can help him, especially some people are blinded or they're paralyzed from stroke or something like that. So they can use their brain to basically have some movement on the computer, or to move the mouse of a computer. So that's quite a good treatment for brain damaged people and Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease. So this technology actually, it's been going on for more than 10 years. But Elon Musk, he's different. But I'm not concerned. Oh, am I concerned? Yes, I'm going to talk about that later. I'm a little bit concerned. But for Elon Musk, he started with this brain-machine interface technology, and that's his starting point. But his purpose, he wants to go to Mars. He wants to set up station in Mars. His purpose is he used one word, say, if we can't beat them, we join them. He knew one day the AIs will be far more advanced than us. Well, actually, I believe so too. So he kind of believed that human beings, our intelligence, we have no chance to compete with AI. So he think if we can't beat AI, we join AI. Well, that means, I think he just means he will make humans become AI-ized. So he's kind of create some kind of hybrid human, half AI, half human beings. I think that's his purpose. That's the way that I think. Well, I'm not against science here. Today I'm going to talk about philosophy, law, and this science. I think the thing I'm really concerned about is how we're going to manage people or scientists or engineers like Elon Musk. He obviously is almost the smartest people in our generation. And do we have, basically currently, it's not just Elon Musk. It's we can see this year, 2020, we've already seen the pandemic. We've seen economic crisis, political crisis. Later, I'm going to talk about all these crises are linked to something we are so far behind. That means our philosophy and our thinkers are far more behind our technology advance, our society advance. That's why the topic today I'm talking about is about we are in, because of the fundamental reason our philosophy, our thinking is behind our technological advance is because we lack of the ability of independent thinking. I'm going to talk, because I think that's probably, I personally think that's probably the biggest crisis of 21st century. It's not pandemic, not climate change, not political instability, not food crisis. The biggest crisis we face, probably more and more people losing the ability, the capacity of thinking independently. And one day, we probably become the hybrid of AI. Well, that's even... At the moment, we can talk about brainwash. We talk about China, Russia, some of those communist countries. They do brainwash. Imagine this Neurolink. Elon Musk, he said, that's his own word. He said he hope one day they can change or erase your memory. Sounds quite simple. Yeah, sounds quite simple. It's just memories. But when you think deeply, what is memory? What is your identity with memory? When you talk about yourself, when I talk about me, when you think, what is your experience? Your experience, your past experience, your childhood, your family, it's all in your memory. If one day, someone change your memory, are you still yourself? Obviously, the answer is no. If they change, for example, we just imagine, if they change your memory, they erase your memory, how you were born, how you grow up, change your memory about your parents, about your family. And they can, Musk, actually, Elon Musk, he said they can download your memory to the cloud. The cloud. Oh my God. That means they can change your memory. They can upload your memory. They can download someone else's memory into your brain. And one day, when you wake up, you are not, for me, I'm not Lily anymore. All I remember is my name was Rose, and I was born in England instead of China. All my memory in my brain, I was born in another country. And all my childhood experience about my parents are changed. I seriously doubt if I still can recognize my parents. So how serious that will be? That means they totally change my identity. They can change my identity as a human being. How serious is that? How can we allow someone to put a chip in our brain and erase or change our memory? Well, obviously that's something Elon Musk is trying to do. Like I said, I like this guy. I think he's so smart. But I'm not saying he's going to do, at this stage, I'm not saying he's going to do evil things. But even Elon Musk is not evil. How can we avoid someone like him in future, or like Dr. Evil? Because this technology will be available one day. And some evil person will get this kind of technology. At that time, they don't need any newspaper. They don't need any propaganda machines like in North Korea or China. They can brainwash you just in a second. They just plant a chip into your brain and you become a slave. Or they'll tell you whatever you need to think, or you don't need to think at all. Basically, we are not human being anymore if someone change our memory, change our way of thinking, or put a chip in our brain. So where is humanity here? My question actually is not that, it's a very simple question. But currently, nobody knows. Our politicians, our lawmakers, our public, our media, nobody knows how to manage people like Elon Musk. We totally rely on Elon Musk manage himself. Of course, you'll say they are FDA approval, things like that. Oh, that's why I say I'm not really too worried about Elon Musk because he's in America. How can we control countries like Russia or China? We've already seen that, like Navalny event. They just use novelty chalk. This kind of this is a chemical weapon that's been banned by United Nations. Russia just use it to kill someone. And what can we do? EU just started talking about sanction, something like that. Like there are some countries, some regimes, they can use the new technology to kill people, to kill humanity. What can we do about it? Also, this time we all know about this pandemic. If you watch my program, I have my personal opinion about where this pandemic came from. I seriously think it's not by natural. It's definitely man-made from a laboratory because their genetic map already showing it's not coronavirus. It is from the coronavirus family, but there are some man-made insertions about other disease into the genome of this coronavirus. So all of this, it just tells us there are some technologies unchecked, unmanaged, or not managed by any law, international law, spread into our. That's why we have this pandemic. We already seen that. And in future, maybe Elon Musk is talking about human trial, this brain plantation on human experiment in 2020, basically this year. At the moment, but they probably delay a little bit. They always delay, like SpaceX, they delay so many times. That's why this year they just doing experiment on pigs. But in next couple of years, they'll be very quickly. They will have human trials. So all of this, it's just there's a conclusion. Just say we don't have moral or philosophy or thinkers really think through this, or lawmakers they can make laws, or we can't even like publicly debate about this. Is this okay? Which direction are we going? Why science? Which direction, which field science should go? And yesterday, because today is supposed to be my property program, but because I have a Telegram group. Oh yeah, actually, but mainly that's in Chinese. But if you're interested, we can do both Chinese and English too. It's just on my description. You can reach me or contact me via my Facebook links and Twitter, or join my Telegram group. This I changed to this topic because that's what we're talking about in the group yesterday about this, because I raised my doubt about Neurolink, and that's why people just give me answers, say, well, this is because it's more difficult to have advanced in philosophy, in thinking, because our technology is easier to be advanced. But I don't agree. Look at history. For more than 2,000 years, philosophies are much more advanced than technology. Like 2,300 years ago, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, they already, on the political science side, they talk about the five types of regimes, basically oligarchy, dictatorship, democracy. 5 of them. And that's what we are having now. But no matter when you are in America, in China, in Russia, or in Europe, that our society, the government regime is basically the types. Aristotle talked about those types 2,300 years ago. That's how advanced the Greek philosophies are. Also, Roman philosophy. I talked about Cicero last week. When we talk about separation of power, when we talk about independence of justice system, it's not happening now. It's not someone think about that in 20th century or something. Cicero talked about that 2,000 years ago. That's how advanced, how advanced the ancient philosophies are, how advanced ancient legal law science are. That means for most of human history, philosophy and science of law, they are far more advanced than technology. We've been through probably, I think in Greek, Roman, they have iron, and of course they have all agriculture. They even had slaves. That means technologically they are much more, So fundamentally, what I'm saying, because of this, look at Greek philosophy, look at Roman philosophy, look at Roman emperor. Roman emperor, they had a legal system. They have separation of power, and after only in 18th or 19th century, when America, the founding fathers, how they draft the Declaration of Independence. Actually, it followed Aristotle and Cicero's philosophy. How because Cicero already talked about the natural law is above the government, above human beings. That's right. Only the human society is supposed to be governed by natural law and governed by law. Law should be above all government. So the founding fathers of America, they set up when they drafted the Declaration of Independence, they follow basically Cicero's steps. All I'm saying is all of these philosophy and science of law, legal system, they are so advanced in ancient time. That means it's natural. It's natural for philosophies to think, for thinkers to go far advanced, far more beyond technological development. That's why only 21st century, we get used to technological development, and we forgot about philosophy. We forgot about the law, the natural law, and the science of thinking, or logical thinking, or reasoning. No wonder Stephen Hawking, he declared philosophy is dead. Although philosophy is basically my favorite topic, and I have keen interest in philosophy, but Stephen Hawking, he was right when he said that. He meant it. Because when someone asks you who are the most famous philosophers in 21st century, I actually don't know. Do you know? Can you tell a name? Yeah, I can recall Aristotle, Plato, David Hume, John Locke, and Hegel, all of this, Nietzsche, even Einstein, he's a scientist, but his philosophical thinking is far more, he's done quite a lot of philosophical talks, speeches. So it's not just philosophers. We don't have modern philosophers, or maybe they are. Actually, I googled. Here are some. The Google tells me it's another thing. Google. A top 10 philosophers. I've never heard of them, and basically the most of them are philosophical professors in university. They just teach philosophy. Of course, I wrote books, and most of them in neuroscience or psychological side. But I think the biggest interest is not just the title philosopher. The biggest difference is what kind of question philosophers ask. Now, in ancient time, in Greek philosophers, they ask, who are we? Where are we going? Where are we come from? What is the essence of the universe? What form universe? Those are what we call about, there's another word, is metaphysics. But those are the fundamental questions philosophers ask. But these days, how many of our philosophers ask this question? And that's why Stephen Hawking say philosophy is dead, because we so much rely on quantum physics. We rely on science. Yeah, because quantum physics told us, because it seems we know all the answers. Yeah, it seems we know how the Earth moves, how the universe form. We know atoms, we know electrons, and especially back to quantum physics in last century, we have so many explanations about our world. Seems we know all the like Stephen Hawking, he's talking about time, about space. We have Einstein's. That's why it seems we have all the hard questions answered. But is that true? Is that true? Well, I can just ask you a simple question. What is justice? What is righteous? What is moral? Do you have answers? Yeah, just think about this. We seem to have answers on atoms, on psychology, on neuroscience, computers, all of these. But can we answer a simple question? What is justice? What is freedom? What is humanity? That's why we're so confused these days. That's why we have this pandemic, we have economic crisis. Back to the crisis, just now I already talked about the pandemic crisis. And back to economy. Yeah, we all know, but this we have a crisis of economy, a financial crisis. Maybe this crisis caused by this pandemic, and we have the deflation, we have inflation, we have printed money, we have quantitative easing. But do you know, actually all of these economic strategies actually is based on 20th century economical theories. Keynesian theories, that's the quantitative easing, printing money. Yeah, that's from last century. That's in 1920s. And well, on the other side, some countries using Marxism, we call that communist. It's still last century. And we have the School of Austria, the School of Frankfurt, the School of Chicago. But they are all the economy method or theory from last century. So, how can we solve? We basically have a 21st century economy, the economy of globalization and digital economy, AI economy, all of these. But we use last century's economical theories to come back with crisis. No wonder we have one crisis after one crisis. Our economical theories to solve problems. We can only, those theories supposed to solve the problem of 20th century or 19th century. It's still talking about demand and supply, talk about nationalized economy. Basically, for our current economy, we don't have a new theory for that. We're still using quantitative easing. That's last century's strategy to combat the current economical problem. No wonder we can never solve the problem. Basically, we just print more money. We use all debt to solve the debt problem. That's why my concern is all of these crises. I already talked about the crisis between technology and philosophy and law. We don't have the management system, we don't have the legal system to manage the advance of technology, like Neurolink, like Musk's plan. So we just let technology go by themselves. Because our philosophy, our thinking, our legal system is not advanced. How can you use the management system of last century to manage the technology now and future? It's far more behind. And also on the other side, that's the economy I already talked about. We're still using the last century's economical theories to solve current problem. That's why our government, our leaders, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the capacity, they don't even have the tools to solve economical problems. So we just, that's why you will see one bubble after one bubble and one burst after one burst until, and they just basically push all the problem in the future. And all those debts, they just create more debts to solve old debts. And all those debts, who's going to repay that? It's you and me. Yeah, they printed so much money, and some real people and our real economy have to pay it back. That's all debts. So, and politically, that's why I'm talking about the crisis. And I'm talking about economical, technological, and philosophy crisis we have. On the other side, we have the political system. Yeah, political system, politically, actually we are into still globalization. It's not globalization, it's not just economical. It's political. That's why we see, well, you probably heard of the One Belt, One Road, strategy of China. They probably just go through. They try to promote Chinese style. We can see we can see at the moment Americans and Chinese, they have the war, the trade war, technological war, and finance, war in financial market, all sorts of war. That's because politically, America is so infiltrated by Chinese system. They're fighting for that. So the war is not between America and China. The war is within America. Of course, we've already seen the war within America. So politically, we're still in a globalization system. But we all know we are every country's got their own system, got their own. We have dictatorship, we have authoritarian system, and we have democracy system. And even within democratic system, we have a socialist system and lefties and extreme right and all of these different style. But like I said, the system, the idea about this system, we had this idea 2000 years ago. No, it's not new. But we basically, we don't have a new system. We don't have new thoughts or new ideas about what is the ideal management system for our international community. Actually, I think European Union probably go a step forward. I think that's my personal opinion. Although they have their own problem, they have bureaucracy and they have many problems. But at least on the postmodern or 21st century, I think European Union, they setting up a model how to manage, how to cooperate internationally. Because how to have a common law and how to still keep your sovereignty. Actually, this globally, we should have a political system similar to that, but we don't. That's why for this pandemic, for political conflicts, we don't have any international organization that can function properly. We don't have international laws can deal with those evil regimes. What can we do? All we can do is section. But what's the section for? You just don't deal with each other and make them economically suffer. But they don't suffer much. At least because those regime, the top gets everything. The top person, they don't get sectioned. Only average people suffer. Like people in Iran, in Syria, in Russia or Belarus. If you just section economically, people suffer. The economy go down. But actually, we don't have any international law to deal with those governments. We can do nothing about them. That's on the economic, on the political side. Basically, we don't have any advanced thinking, advanced law, advanced management system to manage the current international society. So from all of this, I talk about the pandemic crisis, I talk about economic crisis, I talk about political crisis. But all of these, can you see one thing in common? That means our thinking, our philosophy, our thinking system, our management system, our legal system is far more behind our technological advance and far more behind of international economy. So basically, it's if you can't understand the big picture, that means it's just like put it into individual. That means our rational thinking, our reasoning is far more behind of our physical development. It's if you think the world is living thing, like a human being, that means the thinking part, the brain's development is far more behind of the physical development. Another thing is make another example is just like we're running faster, we even driving because of technological advance. But we can't think logically, we can't think clearly, we can't even see clearly because we don't have the vision. What philosophy and law do for us is the vision for humanity, the vision for human society. So that's why if we develop naturally, normally, we are in 2020, and our legal system, our philosophy system, our thinking system, that we're still using the Greek system. That means Aristotle, they have thinking 2,000 years in advance. If we have proper philosophical thinking and thinkers, we should think about 1,000 years after now, or 2,000 years from now. How many people think about that? Maybe 0. Oh, maybe Elon Musk. He's been thinking about that. Well, pity on the technological side, not on the philosophical side. But we need philosophers. We need thinkers to think about, to think like Aristotle, to think like Plato, to think many years beyond now. But we don't. And we don't have philosophers. We don't even have musicians. We can't even make great music. Do we have Mozart? Do we have Beethoven? No. Our music's like a rap. Rap is not music. They're just shouting, talking. It's not music at all. That's how... Are we going backwards? Are we going backwards? I think if we don't think independently, or if we don't think deeply, we are going backwards. We are going backwards. Yeah, when I talk about, that's why I'm talking about think independently. When I talk about chat to people, especially in Chinese, they think, oh yeah, technological advances easier than thinking, reasoning. From surface, it sounds like that. Yeah, that's why our philosophy is behind. But from our history, from our ancestors, from Greek and Greek philosophers, they all have thinking far more advanced than physical or technological development. So that's natural. It's natural for humanity or human society to think advance, to think in advance, to think 100 years or even thousands of years in advance of the technological or human society development. That's natural, but it's not natural now. We're so far behind. And I think I have to ask this hard question. Why are we so far behind on thinking? Why? Well, I'm not a philosopher, but I would like to think more seriously about this, and I would like you to think more seriously. It's not because for thousands of years, people can think in advance. That means we have that capacity. But we don't think that way because of what? Because we are lazy. We can't think that way. We can't think because our human brain is so far more advanced than our physical body. If we think hard, we can go much more advanced. But actually, for animal nature, thinking is a hard work. Like our brain consumes 70% of our energy. Yeah. And thinking hard is much more difficult than not thinking, or not thinking at all. So most people probably chose the easy part, because it's easy. It's so much easier to not thinking. Yeah. When you think you just go to work, because thinking is a hard process, a hard work. It's required lots of energy to do that. Yeah, that's why I think fundamentally that's why we have this problem. In modern days, we are so consumed by consumerism. Yeah, and it's easy to just consume, and so much harder to ask hard questions, so much harder to think, and so much harder to make a career of thinking. Imagine if you tell your friends or your parents you want to be a philosopher. I think everybody will laugh at you. You better just be an accountant, a lawyer, or doctor. That's much easier. Life is much easier. But how hard is it going to be in modern days to become a philosopher, to become a thinker? It's very hard. Well, that's why I just my thoughts is the 21st century, the biggest crisis is not the pandemic. It's not economical crisis. It's not political crisis. The biggest crisis is more and more people can think critically, and more people can think independently. Here, I'm focused on independently. You think, of course, I always think independently. Is that true? If you have a question, just a question. How do you answer that question? Many people will be very easily, naturally, go to Google. You Google the answer. That's very easy. And you can get pretty good answers. I've done a little test. I just Googled what's the biggest crisis for 21st century. I just asked this question, and I Google it. And Google tells me there are 10 top crises of 21st century. There are climate change, education problem, there are food crisis, economic crisis, debt problems, and I didn't tell me about the pandemic. But health is there, and inequality. Excuse me. And Africa problem. Yeah, Google told me 10 crises, top 10 crises. But is that true? My own thinking. That's why, even for me, it's hard to think independently. If you rely on Google, if you rely on social media and rely on Twitter, and we think we would like to think we can think independently, but in reality, how much of your thinking has been influenced by Google? How much of your thinking has been influenced by Twitter, by Facebook, by the social media, by the mainstream media? How many thinking are your own original? Just answer honestly. Yeah, even myself, I admit, if I already asked this question, what is the biggest crisis for 21st century? And another experiment I did is I just don't look at anything, I answer by myself. This is my answer. The 21st century, the biggest crisis is we have lost so many people. More and more people have lost our capacity to think independently. To me, this is the biggest crisis. Because this fundamentally, with this capacity, we are losing this capacity. That's why we don't see great thinkers. We don't have philosophers. We don't have great lawmakers. We don't have those policies, management system to properly manage Neurolinks, companies like Neurolink, to manage pandemic like the coronavirus. Basically, the coronavirus is caused by the very, very poor management of Chinese biotech sector. I'm not saying well, I know that's man-made, but how can you let a country like a developing country like China, they don't have a proper legal system to manage the most deadly virus in the world? Well, yeah, that's how they set it up. French helped them set up P4 lab. A country like China, they shouldn't have P4 lab. But French helped them set it up, and Canadians and lots of American labs and scientists help them to get the technology, help them to get the viruses. That's how, and when you watch my previous program, you know how they manage their lab. They even sell the animals. After those animals being injected with deadly virus, they sell them on the market. That's how they manage their labs. But how can you allow these things happen? Answer is simple, because we don't have the legal system. We don't have the international organization can manage countries like China. Yeah, that's why when you think to think critically, independently as a person, that seems like a small problem. But if you enlarge to huge group of people, enlarge to the society, enlarge to the country wide, enlarge to international wide, we have majority of the society, majority of the population cannot think independently. That's why we've been brainwashed. I'm using this word, brainwashed by mainstream media, brainwashed by Google, brainwashed by Twitter. And that's why we can't produce great philosophers and thinkers. We don't have that environment. That's why we have so many crises. That's why fundamentally I think 21st century, the biggest crisis is we are losing the capacity of thinking independently. And it's going to be very serious. And if we don't change soon, we will be controlled by AI. Yeah, so that's my thinking or talking from yesterday and my thinking today. Of course, I've talked so much, but what can we do? I think that at the moment it's not too late to change. Well, the answer actually is in the question. The answer is to think independently. How to think independently? The answer is simple. Ask questions. Socrates already told us 2,300 years ago. Ask questions. And not just ask one question. Ask more questions. Ask deep questions. And get to the root of the question. Well, another very major thing is, I think, the fundamental capacity of humanity, rational thinking, start from asking questions. So, please, protect this capacity. We can't lose this capacity. If we lose this capacity, we lose our brain. And on the other hand, if you ask questions, after you ask questions, try to answer this question independently. I mean independent, that means you don't get answer from Google, don't get answer from Twitter, don't get answer from social media. Get answer from your brain, your own brain. Okay. Well, I'm talking quite a lot. That's my thinking. I think this is a big topic. I don't know how many people agree with me. I don't need you to agree with me. I just need you to think hard to protect your capacity of thinking independently. Okay, yeah, that's the program today. If you like my program, please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Also, you can join or contact me via Telegram or Facebook. I thank you very much for your time, and I see you next time. Bye-bye.